So Back to the Future, if it was made today, right? You'd be sending Marty McFly back to 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there is as significant a cultural difference between now and 91 as there was between 85 and 55?
Yes.
Okay. So the scene...
The internet,
Okay.
like absolutely, like that would
Okay.
be the thing.
Okay.
Also, if you were living in current day times and you went back to 1991, here's what you do. Stay there. It is a much better
it's so
time
great.
than the time we're
Music's
currently
awesome.
living in. Back to
Movies
the
are
90s.
awesome.
Everybody dance now.
Okay, so the scene where Marty has to convince George or trick George into asking Lorraine out. So he sneaks in the hazmat suit and he puts the Walkman on him and he plays Van Halen. And I am from planet Vulcan. Right. So how do you contemporize that? So you're doing the reboot of Back to the Future. You need to go in, because I don't think you could go and play someone from 91 metal from now or thrash or hip hop or anything. And they'll just be like, oh, it sounds pretty much like all the music we have now. The only thing I could think of, this is what I would do. So you've got the hazmat suit, that's fine, whatever. Like that can look scary. But if you took your iPhone with you, I reckon you bring out your iPhone and you turn on the torch and you scan it. You put on your ringtone and you run the light up them and you say, yeah, like I'm doing a body scan of you or something like that, or and that's how you scare them. Do you reckon that would freak out someone from 91, or would they go, that kind of looks like a phone?
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. 91's not far enough back to go, this is a future scanner. Like, you wouldn't be able to get Wi-Fi. You wouldn't be able to use most of your apps. It'd actually be quite useless.
But it's more the appearance. Like, do you think there is
Yes.
anything that you could take from now that would convince someone from 91, holy fuck, like, I'm dealing with someone from a different dimension, like Van Halen did to George McFly?
I actually think maybe your personal computer would look more impressive than your iPhone, because your iPhone... Oh, no, maybe not, actually.
And remember, it's more about intimidating them in the way that Van Halen, because music, heavy metal to someone in the 50s would sound like fucking never heard anything like it. So what could you show or I mean, could it be CGI? Could you have something on your phone that's like...
Oh, yeah.
Well,
like,
Terminator 2 comes out in 91, so probably not.
Yeah, okay. What's the most impressive visually or like
Sonically
that like there must be something that something really
blown our
obvious that we're
minds
missing
in the last 30 years?
Fury Road. Could you take back Fury Road? Would that blow your mind?
No,
Probably not.
Because Fury Road's all practical effects. They were doing that back in the 80s.
That's a good point, actually. Right. Space Jam 2.
I don't know what you could do. Maybe... I mean, is there any invention? Is there any, like... Could you take, like, a fidget spinner? Take back a fidget spinner? Or your razor scooter? Do a wheelie on your razor scooter? I don't know. I don't think there's anything that... The cultural differences are just not as pronounced. From the 50s to the 80s was a huge leap forward in terms of popular culture. I don't think that I think we're... If anything, we're just rehashing the 80s and 90s these days.
Yeah, I actually think that you're right. Like, it does feel like there would be less of a culture shock. I mean, like, things have changed a lot, but I still think, yes, there would be less of a culture shock.
What about a Roomba?
I mean, I think...
A drone.
A drone. A drone, yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, terrifying today. I reckon if you just got one of those little like handheld drones and say this is a nanobot, it's injected millions of these into your bloodstream. Do what I say, otherwise you're going to be terminated. That's what you'd say.
If you could get Wi-Fi to run it, like, I mean, you're in a different time and they access, like, I was going to say like a home assistant, but again, you wouldn't actually be able to use them in 1991. You can't use your like Siri or whatever, because they would be impressive. I think that if we took back like our everyday, like, home assistant things, like that would blow your mind a little bit, but you wouldn't be able to work them because you'd be on dial-up. It wouldn't be that impressive.
Just trying to think of like, even, those apps you have on your phone, like Snapchat, those filters where you can suddenly get a dog's face or a demon's face or you're wearing sunglasses. I reckon that would freak me out. I mean, when that happened 5 years ago, I was like, whoa, what is this witchcraft? So if you could somehow get that function going without Wi-Fi, if the app functions without being connected to the internet, and you went up to George McFly and you held it over his face and said, I'm turning...
You're a dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that would terrify you a little bit.